Hey everybody, I'm George Takata of ValleySportsPulse.com. Welcome to our very first video tip of the week. We're at beautiful Riverside Golf Course here on Herndon near the 99. Joining us now is one of the pros at Riverside, Mike Firpo, good friend of mine. Mike, how are you?
Good, how you doing, George?
I'm doing well. He's going to help us with the fine art of chipping for our first tip of the week. Mike, you ready to get it going?
Let's go.
All right.
All right, today we're talking about chipping, and the basic chip shot is something that is going to be beneficial from the beginner all the way to the touring pro. It's something that you can practice whether or not you're just learning to hit a golf club for the first time or whether or not you've been playing for a long time. Chipping is going to be one of the most important things you can do. It's not real complicated, but it does take a lot of practice. So I'm going to go over a basic setup for you here so that you can learn to get consistent in how you approach hitting the chip shot. So to start out, what we want to do is, as we approach our ball, we're going to set up. We want to make sure that the first thing we do is get that club resting flat on the ground. So when we set this club down, the toe of the club out here on the trailer, on the leading edge, we want to get that club flat on the ground. We don't want to lay the club up and get our hands down too low. So when I set this club down, I don't want to do this. I want to get it sitting flat. Take my stance around that golf club, and I'm going to have the ball fairly close to the middle of my stance to start with, because that gives me a nice even place to go. And then I'm going to move the ball back in my stance just a little bit, put the hands forward a little bit, and then when I work on the stroke, I want to make sure that as I'm setting up to swing, that I don't just stab at the ball and I don't try to flip at it, okay? We want to set up nice and easy, ball back a little bit, hands forward a little bit, and then we're going to work on making the stroke nice and even, back and through. Okay, I'll show you again. The stroke needs to be nice and smooth. Our follow through needs to be at least as long as our backswing when we're hitting a nice smooth chip shot. We do not want to stab at it. So I have the ball back a little bit, hands forward a little bit, and watch my follow through. My follow through is going to go past the ball and towards the target, all the way through. We don't want to stab at it. So if you set up with the ball slightly back of center, the hand slightly forward, you sweep the grass and follow through. It's a pretty simple process that we go through, and then next we're going to talk about what clubs to use for what distance shots. All right, now that we've talked about the basic chip shot and the structure and the setup, the stroke, and how to get the shot up into the air and onto the green, we need to discuss which clubs you're going to use to hit the shots. Traditionally, a lot of people walk up, they grab a sand wedge, and they go ahead and hit their chip shot regardless of where the flag is on the putting green. And what we need to do is we need to come up with a consistent strategy to help us get more consistent with how far the ball goes and how far it rolls. And the way to do that is to try to hit the same part of the putting green regardless of where the flag is, and simply switch clubs to accommodate where we're trying to go. So for example, here I have set up a towel on the putting green, which is something most people have, a golf towel in their bag. So you can lay a towel on the putting green, and I've got three different targets out there. There's a yellow flag, an orangish red flag, and a blue flag. And most people tend to hit the same club to all three targets. What we want to do is we want to practice landing the ball about where that towel is and then letting it roll to the hole. The practice comes in where you need to work on the different clubs in your bag to figure out which club is best suited to do that with. Because I don't necessarily want to take a sand wedge and try to hit it all the way across the green and stop it on a dime, because that's not easy to do. So I'm going to start by hitting a couple of shots to this yellow flag. I've got my regular sand wedge, which is 54 degrees, and I'm going to hit a couple shots. We're going to try to land it as close to the towel as possible and just see where it ends up. If it's not the right club, then we don't try to hit the ball harder or easier. We switch to a different club that gets the job done for us. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through my setup again, just like we talked about before. Setting the club down nice and flat on the ground, lining up towards that towel, set my stance, ball back, hands slightly forward. I'm just going to sweep the grass and try to land it near that towel. Okay, came up just a little bit short, and you see how the ball came up short. So the next shot I'm going to try to do is, all I got to do is lengthen my swing a little bit. If I lengthen my swing and I follow through a little bit more, the ball carries a little farther, and therefore it rolls a little farther. So as we go through this again, we'll set up, ball back, hands forward, a little longer stroke. Even got caught on the grass and it still went a little farther. Okay, so we're working our way towards the hole. One last shot to this target. Now I know that I can go ahead and fly this ball all the way to the target, maybe a little bit past the towel, but keeping it close to the towel. Ball back, hands forward, long stroke, back and through, hits the towel, ooh, almost went in. Okay, so use the target to determine which club you're going to use. Don't just grab a sand wedge or a lob wedge to hit any shot you want to hit. If I'm going to go towards the target that's out in the middle of this green, I've got a lot more green that I can roll the ball on. If I fly the ball up there, it's much less predictable as to what the ball is going to do. So I get a couple of longer clubs out. I've got a 9-iron and a 7-iron. I'm going to start with the 9-iron, and I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did with the sand wedge. I'm going to set up towards the flag, put the ball back a little bit and the hands forward, and I'm going to take a real similar swing as I did with the short target, and yet the ball should run more. Now the ball lands just past the towel and runs right up towards the hole. Okay? So the 9-iron looks like it might be a pretty good club for the shot. But if I'm trying to hit a 9-iron towards this yellow flag, and I do the same thing with it, it's going to be very hard to stop the ball. So if I come up here and try to do this, the ball's just going to take off and keep running and running and running. So it's not a good club for the short flag. By the same token, if I want to go to the long target back there, I can come back and grab my 7-iron. Same concept. I'm still trying to land the ball here by the towel and let it roll to the hole. It's much more predictable when the ball's rolling than when it's in the air. Ball back, hands forward, nice smooth stroke. Just past the towel, runs pretty good. Maybe a 7-iron is not the right club. I can go to an 8-iron and practice the 8-iron. You need to figure out which club works best for you. Everybody's a little bit different. Everybody's going to use a little different club, but you need to find the club that works best for you from the different distances and not rely on one club for every shot.
All right, Mike, thanks a lot for the tips. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks for coming out.
Oh, my pleasure. If you want to book a tee time here at Riverside Golf Course, go to their website at www.playriverside.com, or you can call them. What's that number?
Number is 275-5900, and we also have tee time specials online. So go online first and then give us a call in the shop.
We'll have another video tip for you on ValleySportsPulse.com next week. For Mike, I'm George. We'll see you later.